Hey everyone, welcome to FernyTalk. My name is Ferny. I am your resident psychic medium and spiritual teacher. And on this program, we talk about anything paranormal, spiritual, psychic, and whatever the else I feel like talking about. On today's program, we are going to discuss tarot, and I actually have a special guest on the show in a little bit. Before we begin, I want you guys to go ahead and start asking your questions. So later on in the show, we are going to answer any of your questions, whether they're psychic questions about your life, if you want to ask about any questions about tarot, or actually, my guest is an animal communicator. So if you want to ask questions about that as well, feel free to do so now. As always, any statements given on this show or for any show for that matter are personal opinions. We are not licensed to medical doctors, counselors, attorneys, or law enforcement officials. So for legal medical advice or treatment, please consult a licensed professional. All right. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about, what are we talking about first? That's what I want to know. What are we talking about first? So welcome to the show. I want to welcome you all to the show. If you've not been here before, this is my third show, I think, my third episode. I hope you've been enjoying the last two shows. They've been a lot of fun. The last time we had my sister here, and we were talking about Ouija boards, and we were also talking to Ingrid on the first episode and our trip to a haunted jail. So if you haven't seen that episode, go over to my Facebook page at fernandomarone.com. You can get there from there. You can get to my YouTube page from there as well and watch the episode because you might really, really enjoy it. All right, so before we get to my guest, I need to tell you guys that I have been working my butt off for the last year on a psychic development course. So if you don't know this, I do teach psychic development classes, and I used to teach them here in my home. And I used to keep them small because I think, having that intimate time with a small amount of people gives you enough of an opportunity to really connect with each individual and to help them through their own challenges and through any blockages or issues that they're dealing with along their own development. So that was working pretty well for me, but I felt as if I wasn't reaching enough people, and I really wanted to do more. And not only that, but during the classes, if one person asked a question, it would derail the entire class just because I got very invested in the answer and I really wanted to cover a lot of material. And what would start out as like a 2.5 hour class with exercises would turn into a 4.5, almost 5 hour class. And it was exhausting to the point where some students couldn't stay for the entire class because they'd only allotted so much time. So I decided to go ahead and devote some time to developing my class. I spent time writing it out. I actually think I wrote a book out of writing out the class. So I wrote it all out, and then I went ahead and tried to deliver it in video instruction form so you guys could easily understand it. So that just went live a couple of days ago on Udemy, and I've had nothing but great reviews about it since. I actually went over my class today just to see it from a different perspective, because when you're working on something, you see things one way, but then when you go back over and try to see it from the person who's just seeing it for the first time, I was like, oh, this is really good. I was surprised that I did so well in the class. But I want you guys to head over to Udemy and check out the class. It's on sale right now. I think everything's on sale on Udemy, but go over and check out the class. It's really, really good. It will help you to understand how to develop your psychic abilities, how to get to the next level if you're stuck and you feel like you're blocked and you can't get to the next level. And I utilize a lot of principles that I learned from psychic detectives and from techniques used by the military. So there's some really interesting techniques that I use to develop my abilities with amazing success, as you can tell. And so I would highly suggest you head over to Udemy. If you can't get there, just go to my website, www.fernandomarone.com, and I have a link there so you can get to it. And it's on sale, so don't wait too long. Get your butt over to Udemy and get to the class. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you a friend of mine. His name is Mitchell, or Mitch, and I met Mitch, I think about 3 years ago. And I think he was under the age of 60 when I first met him. I think now he's climbed over and he's in his latter years. And so we met and we've kept in touch. He's actually from Orlando, Florida. I met him through another psychic, and we've interacted from time to time. And also we took a couple of classes together with my teacher, Pam Coronado. So we had a lot of fun in that. He's got a very successful practice out there. And he's ready to come on so that he can make some comments of his own. So without further ado, let me bring Mitch on. Let's see if it's hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
How are you?
I am well. Can you see Bartolomeo? He decided to get up on top of my chair.
So you said you had a very interesting like story about how he got his name.
Sure. Do you want to dive into that first?
Yeah. I want to know how you got his name.
And it's kind of cool because it goes back to, oh, he just left. So it goes back to Jamie Cruz and I did, Jamie the Psychic did Cosmic Caffeine for several years with our co-host Evan, who passed away a couple years ago. Right. And you were on that show. And I remember, I think Jamie even like wrote you a new one and told you need to quit your job and do this full time or something. I was just like, oh my God, he's a Starbucks barista. I was more excited that you worked at Starbucks. So a couple years ago, Jamie was doing some hands-on healing with a man named Frank. And I just knew him as Frank, a friend of Jamie's, Frank. She talked about it, got him through the holidays, which were coming up on the holidays. And he ended up passing away January 6th. And, it was quite interesting. The doctors used the word miraculous for some of the tumors and things that, vanished or disappeared on his body. He did finally succumb to his demise and pass on and cross over. But my husband wanted to bring home another cat because somebody, said, oh, there's only one person that I would want to take this cat. And this was Bartolomeo, but his name was Guido at the time. So he came home so we went to visit him on Sunday night a couple years ago. I met him. It was a good thing. We brought him home. We did all my animal communication practices to integrate him into the community, our little house. And like 2 days later, like on Tuesday, I'm looking at him and I just kept going, I don't think he likes the name Guido. We don't really like Guido. I had to explain to Fabian, who's from Argentina, what Guido or a Guido is, because he didn't grow up with a Guido. And so I said, I was connecting with him and I kept hearing the name Bartholomew, which is a biblical name. So I remember trying to type it into the computer to to tell people, hey, this is our new cat Guido, but I think he wants to be called Bartholomew. And I kept spelling the name wrong. So the dang iPhone kept putting the red line under it.
Yeah.
Correct. So I started typing it one letter at a time and it recommended Bartolomeo. And I thought, well, I like that. That's kind of like the Italian Latin version. So Fabian came home. I said, what about Bartolomeo? And he goes, oh, I like that. The next day, he likes to read the obituaries. I don't know why, because he's not too much into what I do. Yeah. But he's like, oh, a guy just died whose name was Bartolomeo. Do you think that's a sign? I'm like, hell yes, it's a sign. The next day, I'm talking to Jamie, telling her, the name we named the cat. And she says, Mitch, don't you know what Frank's last name is? And I said, no, you all just said Frank. His name was Frank Bartolomeo.
That is crazy.
And this is all public knowledge, so I'm not divulging anything personal, or client privilege. But oh my gosh, my startup disk just said it's full. I hope that doesn't shut me down.
You should be okay. You should be.
I know. So, anyway,
you're always full of it. So,
yeah, I know. So it was just bizarre that I'd connected with the name, but I didn't quite get it right because I never heard Bartolomeo. And then Fabian saw it in the newspaper, and then it just became a beautiful story. And now he's Bartolomeo and has been for about 3 years now.
Yeah, it's like there's a story with Mama Cat where. I won't go into Mama Cat because that's a long story, and that'll be for another show. That'll be for another show. You can talk. Actually, we should do a show where you talk to Mama Cat and you see what she watch. I'm sure she'll be like, "Oh no, girl! Oh no, girl!" So okay, so you had mentioned something. Now this is the second time I've heard this. Now I don't know how I'm not even aware of this even being a thing, but there's something about like a no shave November where you're not supposed to shave for November. Because a friend of mine, it's like, I always look like this. So for me, this is nothing different. But a friend of mine said, hey girl, are you going to shave for November? I'm like, what do you mean am I going to shave for November? She's like, yeah. When I say she, it's he, but he's like, yeah. He's like,
I know. That's for the people watching.
Yeah, he's like, you're not supposed to shave for November. I'm like, no. I'm like, I'll go 2 days without shaving, but I'm not doing that. So I'm gonna go buy a fake beard or something just so that I can put it on and take pictures with it for fun. But I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm shaving. I mean, I may let other things sprout wings, but I'm not. I'm definitely shaving. So
I guess someone mentioned this first, that I guess in Canada they call it Movember, Movember, but it's kind of attached to, someone said it's kind of attached to prostate cancer awareness, but the No Shave November is basically you don't shave for the month of November, and you donate the money you would have spent on supplies back to cancer awareness.
Yeah.
St. Jude's, there was 3 organizations, St. Jude's, cancer, another one that was cancer awareness, and a third one. But also, if you go to noshavenovember.org, you can create your own little site where people can go back and donate in your name or something. So what I decided to do, and this is going to be a challenge for me because it starts to get itchy after about a week. And this is a little over a week now. And what I'm going to do is I'm doing a spread that I have to pull up the spread for those of you who like tarot spreads, because I created a spread with the idea of not shaving for a whole month and what could that be. So the first card, and what I do is I do a YouTube video and I send it to my clients. It's personalized for them. And I'm giving 50% of the proceeds for that back to this No Shave November.
Yeah.
So the first question was, what do you need to temporarily say no to? Because we're not going to shave for a month. So we're going to temporarily say no to the razor. Then what will develop or grow during this time? And then what will the growth reveal in you? Because I tell you, this is going to reveal stuff to me physically. It's going to show a little bit of myself.
Right.
And what's the lesson behind the growth? And then the fun part was the last 2 questions are, how will your life look if you continue down this path versus going back to shaving again or back to the way things were? So it's a kind of a cool little 6-card spread that I'm going to do for people. So,
well, and speaking of spreads, let's talk about you being a tarot master, because I considered you. I was like, what's life like as a tarot master? Because I myself personally, I've never really gotten that into tarot. I have a deck that I got like a while back. Actually, I started off using long story. When I was a kid and I was in high school, I couldn't afford a tarot deck. So I'd go to the computer room and I'd print out all of the cards, and they'd be like little mini cards. So I'd print them out and then I'd cut them out and then I'd paste them to like an index card. So I had my own made up like tarot deck, and it was a Rider-Waite deck. So I would go around with my little Ziploc baggie full of my tarot cards, and I'd do readings for my friends at school, just like, oh, hey, let me do a reading for you. And I'd shuffle them. And so, and that was my first real tarot deck. Now that's actually a thing. They sell them that small. So you have.
Well, and this is my personalized Lenormand deck.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So yeah, Chino Marchetti, he put my name on the back of that. But yeah, it's a mini deck.
Yeah. And so after that, I used tarot for a while, and I was always using the Rider-Waite deck. And then I got into, I bought a deck by Lisa Williams, and that was pretty cool because it was less symbolic and it was more based on life situations with someone passing away or someone in love. So I was like, okay, this is a pretty cool deck. And then the last deck I got was the deck by Carol Burnett. I'm like, Carol Burnett started doing cards. She's doing cards now, girl? No, what is it? What is her name?
What's the
very famous psychic.
Carolyn Nice.
No, not Carol. No, not Carolyn Miss. The other one. It's
Carla Reed.
Carla Baron Reed. Yeah. So I got a deck by her, and I have hers. I've kept it, and every now and then, if I get stumped on trying to tune into a client's energy, you probably have like.
It's back there. See my. Okay. There's a lot of my decks back there.
Yeah, and some, when I get like stumped on a client, I'm like, okay, I'm getting really sick with this person. So then I'll go and I'll like check my answers to make sure that I check my answers. It's like it gives me exactly what I'm picking up. I'm like, there it is. That's what I'm seeing. So that's when I use it, is to check my answers. Yeah. But you have devoted it's like an entire art form for you. Like when I see your videos, and for those of you who haven't seen the videos, if you go to Mitch's website, well, actually you can go to his Facebook or his website. If you don't know how to get to his Facebook, go to his website. He'll show you how to get to his Facebook. But he does a spread. I think it's a daily spread, don't you?
I'm doing a weekly one now, and basically I do. What does this week hold for you? What can you expect? How can you best navigate it? And then, what's the outcome or what you're going to learn from it? Yeah.
So he's doing a weekly spread, and I love it because sometimes I don't always watch them, but every now and then I get that little inkling, like, you need to pay attention to this one. Like, it's either, oh, I like the shirt he's wearing, which he was wearing this shirt in one of the last one he did. So I was like, I have a shirt just like that. And he's like, well, we should wear it for the show. I'm like, okay, sure. So we're wearing the same shirt. I think his is a little different.
Yeah, I think mine has more anchors on it.
Yeah. And so his is a little his is overkill. It's everything that he does is overkill. But But you know, so we so I watched it and I was like, oh, I love this one. And so
That's you.
Yeah.
The Emperor. Are you Aries? Are you Aries by chance?
No. I'm a Taurus.
Oh, that's right. Never mind.
Yeah. Everyone. That's the second time someone's tried to guess my sign this week. I had another lady earlier. I think I was at Trader Joe's, and because when I go to the grocery store, I have a layout of the store, and I design the grocery shopping list based off of the layout of the store because I want to get in and I want to get out. I don't want to be there too long. I don't want to get like overwhelmed by energy, so I have to be very efficient. And so I was talking to the girl at the checkout counter, and I was telling her about my map, and she was like, Are you what is it? Are you a Leo or something? I was like, no. And I was like, what is everybody? And so you're the second person that's tried to get this week. Yeah. Oh, you think so? Yeah, maybe.
But Leo's, yeah, because do you know what your rising sign and your moon sign is?
No, my moon's no.
So I'm a rising Leo. So the rising sign is typically what you lead with and what people kind of see you as. Mm-hmm. So you could be those things that people are seeing you as, like a Leo with the hair. I'm a rising Leo. Mm-hmm. So when no one's in charge, I will take charge because it drives me crazy that no one's in charge. But I'm a true Pisces at heart. So if you catch me on the weekend, I got a cup of coffee and my iPad and I'm reading, by myself, just chill. But then my moon sign, which is kind of like what's behind the scene, what's in the shadows, what only a few people get to see. I'm a Capricorn, so I'm really good with numbers. Yeah. I'm actually very grounded, even though people think I'm flighty.
Yeah. See, this is why you're so good with tarot, because I get lost and I'm like, I don't want to remember. I feel like I'm back in school. I feel like I have to remember all these things. And then numbers, I'm not good with math at all. So math is just like, don't give me numbers. I don't know anything about numbers. So you've got like all these, I'm like, how does he remember all this information, And
it's just, I tell you, and you know this because you teach. I got good and got really good and then could remember things even more and more. And it just became part of me when I started teaching. Because the moment you start teaching, you're telling yourself and them, the people in front of you, over and over and over. And doing the daily videos was amazing for me. It just brought all that stuff in. But I love numbers and I love numerology. So, and here's a really interesting, cool story. And I think you'll appreciate it. Because, so I started with my, psychometry and my runes and my tarot cards and just a class that did a big bag of tricks. And then I, continued working with that. There were times when I was doing 2 classes a week. And one was every Tuesday night, this woman, Maida Jones, a wonderful psychic and medium and great teacher, she would come into Orlando every Tuesday night and I would go to her class at someone's house. So for like 4 straight years, I was working hard on mediumship. Mm-hmm. And she's a spiritualist from Casadega, Florida. So she's not about cards, not about divination tools. Are you picking up a cat?
Yeah. He heard you talking. So,
hey, beautiful. So she, and I'm glad I had enough confidence in myself when she would say, oh, those cards are just a crutch for you. And what she meant was, and I appreciate, what she meant was that, we're here working on mediumship. The cards would be a crutch to do mediumship. And let me tell you, if I do animal communication or I do mediumship, literally the cards go down. So when a client sits in front of me and I don't know what they want, if they say, oh, I want to talk to somebody on the other side, I literally put the cards away. Yeah. If someone says, oh, I want to talk about my animal, I put the cards away. But if we're talking psychically, here and now, I typically use the cards probably 80% of the time. And if they start talking about other people, I almost always will pull the cards out. And for me, it's just great focus, great connection. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times if you got somebody nervous in front of you, if I'm just staring at you like this and I'm doing a reading into your eyes, it makes you a little nervous. But if we're both looking down at the cards, then it takes a little bit of the edge off.
Pressure.
But I tried to get away from them. And I tell people, I tried to get away, but they called me like my family saying it's time to come home.
Yeah.
So I honor past life. I don't know what it is, but yeah, they're there.
When did you first feel pulled? Because there's a lot of people who they will go out and they will buy a deck of cards and they'll just buy something because they think that's going to give them the power or the ability to see things. But when did you first feel that pull towards like tarot and really feeling like invested in the practice and learning all about it?
So all my life, just like many of us, I feel something. We talked about dreams in my family because that was safe in our slightly conservative household.
Yeah.
But when I was a 6-year-old, 7-year-old kid and everybody was asleep on Sunday morning, I'm wide awake, hyperactive kid. I literally had my mom's playing cards and I would shuffle them and I would hold a card to my head and I would try to guess what color it was first because that's a 50-50 chance. Yeah. Then I would try to guess diamonds, hearts, clubs, spades, and that's a 1 out of 4 chance. So I was at a 6, 7 years old. I don't know where I got that from, but I even tried to move pencils with my brain. So I was trying to connect to that. Yeah. And then in 1999, December of 1999, it's when I'm coming out of the closet. It's when everything started to open up spiritually, living in my truth, started dating. And I remember sitting in a Barnes & Noble and I could hear, "Come over here." And I was like, what was that? And this book was calling me. And my first real book that I read was, you may not even know her, Deborah Lynn Katz. Do you know her?
No, I forgot you were a lot older than I am.
Yeah, old school. But her book was You Are Psychic. And I read that book, then I read her.
Oh, I know that book. Yes, I do know that book. Yes.
She reminds me of Alison Dubois. A lot of the similar connections, kind of strawberry blondish kind of woman. But I just devoured. So from 1999 till now, I was devouring everything I can get my hands on. Yeah. And then been professional just about 9 years now, because it was shortly after I met Fabian, and then I really got into classes in person because I was doing all my research quietly at home in Winter Haven, Florida, home of Legoland.
Oh gosh! Oh, Eddie has a fascination with Legos. He's in love with Legos. Yeah.
Yeah. Funny.
We have to go back there now.
Yay! Definitely.
So tell me, let's talk about this deck that you participated in or that you helped. You were an artist of. Do you have it on hand? You better have it on. So Mitch actually helped design a tarot deck. A group of one card, but still, it was a contribution. But I'm gonna let you talk about it because I want you to tell everybody about it. So, of course, a wine glass. A gay man would choose a wine glass for a tarot card.
Even though I've been sober for 25 years. So they gave me 5 of Cups, and I was like, seriously? If anybody knows anything about that, 5 of Cups is like this downtrodden, emotional wreck of a person. But these are, and it's a photograph that I used, and I tried a bunch of different things. But the deck is, and you put the link up there, I saw that. The deck is the Triumph of Life, and it's got the whole Cancer Sucks. So the money that is made off of this, and there's no profit going back to anybody. So they cover the cost of the deck, and then the rest, there's the hermitslamp.com, and the rest of the money goes to certain foundations. All of that's on the hermitslamp.com/TOL. But it was just a lot of people, you could see just different styles of cards. Just very, very beautiful. This one is really interesting. And this one, I believe, is somebody, and they're wearing, a head wrap because they probably already lost their hair.
Yeah.
And then on the back of the cards those are all initials. It's kind of hard to see. Those are initials of people who've passed away that the deck or the person dedicated them to.
Wow.
So yeah, it was really cool. And then of course, then they have just these white cards would have everybody's name, who did what card, and things like that. So it was really cool. It's been 2 years in the making. Wow. It's just been very, very difficult.
So for people who want to get into tarot or get into that, really spend some quality time studying and getting their skills up to par, what resources would you recommend or suggest for them? Aside from going to your website, because I'm sure, because don't you participate in a conference every year, or you go to
I go to the Reader Studio in New York everywhere. This past year, I got to present on the main stage, which was just amazing because I brought hypnotherapy or hypnosis together with tarot, going into a deeper level and deeper altered state. And just yesterday, my study group got approved, so I get to do another study group when I go back up this year, because you don't get to hit the main stage maybe once every decade if you're good. But yeah, my website, mitchellosborn.com, intuitivemitchell.com, either one. And it's funny because that is the next class I'm going to be doing. I'm trying to get it up online before the end of the year. If not, I'll do it in January. But just beginning tarot, learning about the tarot cards, and giving some simple spreads and simple things you can do to start growing, because it literally is a lifetime commitment. I mean, it's just, and I continue to learn every day about it. And, it's funny because like there's one card, the Six of Wands. And I always said, every time I tell the story, I'm going to mention her name. So this woman, Jennifer, who's a friend of mine, we did a 1-card drawing in a class when I was teaching, and it was, how was your day? And she pulled 6 of Wands, and I said, oh man, you had a good day. And she goes, well, no. And I said, explain, please. And basically, it's a man on a horse riding in. You can tell he's victorious. People are waving the wands. Everything's good. And she says to me, I don't know if I'm the man on the horse or the horse. and I just went, oh my gosh, I never would have thought of that, even though it's a simple concept, because she could be a wand, she could be the little flower in the corner. But basically she said, no, what happened was today I did all this work, handed it over to my boss, who then goes and presents it and gets all the glory, which is exactly what a horse does. He takes his rider into battle, and the horse goes to the stable, gets food, that's it.
What's funny, it's funny that you say that, because the other day we were watching shows, and back in the day, riding horses was just the norm. And I'm just sitting there watching, I'm like, I feel so bad for the horse that has to run that long. And they're like, why? It was Poldark. I was watching Poldark with Eddie, and we were watching the show, and that's when watching the horse, and I was like, oh my God, like that poor horse has to, and I guess that's part of like animal communication. Like you start to feel more sympathy or more empathy for the animal itself and what it's going through versus, like the individual itself and the person that is, utilizing that animal. And you start to feel more sympathy and connect with that pain or with that energy. When did you start getting into animal communication? Because, you are an animal communicator. So
that's a good story as well. So I'm teaching a class over in Kissimmee near Disney World at a yoga studio. And, I have my business cards, and I was handing them out at the end. And I talked a lot about the animals in my life because I lived alone. I did not have animals. When I met my then partner, now husband, Fabian, he had a dachshund, Sheldon, a Pomeranian, Lovita, a cat, Toby. So I enter this world, and because I have a partner, I can work with I can have animals in the house. If I lived alone, I probably wouldn't, just because my lifestyle. They would be neglected. And I know myself enough that I live outside the house, but with a partner, this is our place and our sanctuary. Right. So because of him, I can do it. So I remember saying, because I would look at the animals, I'd be like, oh my God, I know exactly, because I'm working on the humans. I'm working I'm working on tarot cards, and I'm looking at these animals going, because I never studied about animal communication, but it was just so natural. And I was always the one, I'm the middle child, I'm the gay child, closeted at the time, between 2 brothers and a father. And I was the one who always had to bury the animals or take them to the vet and euthanize them. Wow. And it was funny because I was like, I'm okay. I mean, it's going to be sad and I'm going to be upset, but they were such wimps.
Right.
But I look back on that, and I was like the gravekeeper for a lot of them. But I remember saying to someone, long story, I said, oh, God, I can see it one day. My business card is going to say pet psychic. And I was like, oh, careful what you say. It doesn't say pet psychic, but it says animal communicator, which is basically the same thing.
Right. So now, well, are you ready you want to try some readings? You ready to do some readings?
I'm ready for anything.
Okay. So just FYI, guys, if you want to get to Mitch's website, www.intuitivemitchell.com. You can book a session with him. He is very, very good. He's out of Orlando, Florida, so he does do Skype and phone, correct?
Yep, yeah. And FaceTime.
And FaceTime as well.
And you know what I discovered? Some people don't understand what those things are, so they say, "Yeah, we'll just do Skype." I'm trying to get home. They're like, "I don't know what Skype is," and I'm like, well, "Let's just go to Facebook Messenger." So even Facebook Messenger works very well.
Right. Okay. Cool. Well, then that's interesting. So Facebook Messenger as well, guys. So so let's get over to some questions.
And in person, if by chance anyone's from Orlando.
Yeah, you're in Orlando. Yeah, please check out. And actually, I was able to see him earlier this year because I'd known you for years now, and I'd never seen you in person. And I flew out there earlier this year. You can see the picture of us, and I actually cut Danny out because I'm like, I didn't get Danny's permission to show his face, so I can't put him in here. But I got a chance to meet him in person, and it was fun. It was awkward. It's that awkward, I know you, but at the same time, it's like, wow, we're meeting for the first time in person.
I know.
Weird, yeah. But it was a lot of fun. I actually enjoyed our time there. So, all right. You ready for readings?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go over. So let me find some good ones here. We actually got quite a few here. So,
and I'll do Clark since we've been talking about him.
Yeah.
Unless they say mediumship or animal, then it'll be different.
Well, mediumship. Yeah. Well, we're not doing any mediumship today, guys. It's just psychic readings. Or if you want to ask a question about the tarot, whatnot, go ahead and put those in the comment section below. I'm going to go ahead and start going.
And do you typically, like you just said, we're not doing mediumship? Is that because probably my same thing is it takes a little bit of time?
Yeah. So the reason why, and people don't understand this, but when you're doing a psychic reading, you're using a completely different process for tuning into the information versus a mediumship session. With a psychic reading, I don't really need you to tell me anything in return. I can pretty much just tune in and then tell you what I'm getting, what I'm feeling, and assume that you're going to understand what I mean by that. With mediumship, it really does help if there's a two-way conversation happening, because I have to make sure I understand what they're connecting or communicating across properly. You may understand what they mean. I may not, because I don't know their life. I don't know your life. You know their life, hopefully. And so when I'm communicating, I'm only getting like a fraction of information. I don't know everything about them. So they're communicating across messages, and it has to be cleared up through that one-on-one communication, which is why we don't normally do, like, I don't do like mediumship through like e-readings. I don't do mediumship through this process. I will do it when I have someone face-to-face or on camera, but not just like, I see a question, can you connect with my wife? Oh yeah, let me tune into her. And then I just tell you about, it doesn't work that way. I wish it did, then we would do it. But it really lessens the connection and the value of the information that comes through if you can't validate it and if I can't clarify what it is that they're trying to say. So, all right, so let's go with...
I just saw a question pop up. Somebody asked if I can do tarot cards through the phone. Absolutely. You won't get to see them, and if you know them, I can describe what's going on, but I can definitely do it. So
you can see the comments going through as well?
So just like a preview of it, like right across your face, like right there. Do you see that?
No.
It says from Pepe Zamora. And then it's gone. Now it disappeared.
Oh yeah. Okay, so what it's doing is it's scrolling through. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I've never encountered your side of things. I've always had the control here. I'm a tourist. I have to be in control. So normally I have a screen, like a little box on the side, and it's like they're all popping up, and I get to scroll through and ask and whatnot. So.
Yeah, do I have a scroll? Maybe that's why.
No. So let's see. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so hi, Fernando. Okay, so me and my partner have had a couple of failed attempts for having a baby. Will there be children in our future? So I'm going to let you answer that first.
Well, you know what? I'll pull cards, and if you want to answer it as well, we can tag team. But I don't mind doing it. So I tell you, I got 6 of Swords and the Cancer. Cancer, the Chariot. That's so funny I say Cancer. Not Cancer as in, but Cancer as a sign. Right. I tell you, a lot of Swords here. So who is that, MK? I'm going to say, do I see a baby in the future? I think this is a lot of mental stuff going on. Mm-hmm. In other words, I almost feel like there needs to be an end of something that's got you preoccupied. And because to me, this does feel energetic. Do I see children? A Queen of Swords. It's like all Swords cards. So that tells me you're up in your head, or you're either a Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. And that's just, you're all up in your head. But I do believe with an energetic shift and a change of thought that you can bring this into fruition. I'm also, it's funny because here, this is not necessarily mediumship, but I'm being drawn to your mother. So I don't know if maybe these are her beliefs coming into your brain. Maybe she said something like, you'll never be a good mother, so therefore you still hold in your head, I should not be a mother. Yeah, exactly.
I feel like she's afraid of maybe repeating her mother's patterns or maybe repeating some of that behavior, and that's a block for her, you think?
Yeah. But yeah, and you know what? Final card, 10 of Coins, which is big, bountiful family, money, resources. Yeah, I see it happening, but you've got to back out of the replay of the movie, of the screen, of the thought in your head. You need to be able to look yourself in the mirror and say, dang it, I'm going to be a fabulous mother, right. You know? Right. So yeah.
So when I tune into this, what I will say is I think 2 things need to happen before this occurs. Now, the answer to your question is yes, I do think you're going to be a mother at some point. And my time frame for this is probably, I don't think it's next year. I actually feel this is probably going into the end of 2019 or early 2020. So we're looking at that juncture there. I think 2 things have to happen. First of all, I think that you have to commit to taking full responsibility for every aspect of your life. And I think right now life is teaching you that. It's teaching you how to be in control, how to take responsibility for every aspect of your life and yourself, and not be, like I agree with Mitch, not being affected or influenced by past experiences, past relationships, past
beliefs.
Exactly, or beliefs. And so So as the year progresses, I think this next year is going to be a huge year for you, because as we get closer to the end of next year, I think you're going to have two opportunities to build your own life with your significant other. So the first attempt or opportunity comes towards the end of next year. Something happens and it doesn't go as planned. So then you plan again in 2019, that seems to go much better. So in March or April of 2019, I'm actually seeing you like in a space where you don't have to worry so much about other people or other influences, and you can completely 100% focus enough of your time and energy on the relationship with your significant other and on the space and what home you're trying to create, what the energy in the home you're trying to create. So I think that's what's going to be so significant. So at that point, you have more control over your environment, and then you can consciously choose whether you're going to 100% commit to yourself to it or not. And it's all based off of moving past these issues from your past. But I think you're going to commit to it, because I am seeing baby energy or something going on towards the end of 2019, and early 2020 that signifies some sort of new growth, new birth, new phase in your life in regards to potentially children. Now, here's the thing. It may not be a child through natural means. It may come through a different route or an alternative process, but I do see something happening at that time.
Yeah, I keep seeing like 1 and 1.
Yeah.
I almost feel like it's almost like this. It's like you adopt one and then you have your own. It's like
right. And I noticed that when people are really trying to have children, I've noticed this happen over and over again. They try to get pregnant. They don't get pregnant. And then they just decide to give up on trying to get pregnant. They adopt. Once they adopt, within the period of having that child, they get pregnant unintentionally. And that's because they've surrendered to the process of having children, and they're letting the universe do its thing. And the universe is like, you've stopped me from getting in your way. So now I can like deliver the goods.
And I also believe when stuff like that happens, that child that they adopted has been sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. And it's like, you're missing the point here. You're missing the point. Come get me. And then everything else will fall in place.
Yeah.
Which I believe I call those soul contracts. I mean, that's a big thing, you know?
Yeah. And people don't always know like about soul contracts. Like there are certain things you're supposed to experience in your lifetime. You're slated. It's part of your process here on the physical plane. But there's a lot you still have control over. There's a lot that, it's like, okay, are you going to drive down the 45 or are you going to drive down I-10? Like you choose the highway, but you're still going in the same direction.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's see. Okay. Here's another one by Shubi Shaw. I struggle daily with my sister's betrayal. Will she ever return what she stole from me?
It's so funny because I don't even want to pull cards on that one because I just keep hearing the word surrender. And I'm going to pull cards because of the question you asked, and I'm going to answer what I feel the cards are saying. And the question is, will she ever return what she stole from me? The King of Coins. This is like, getting back what is rightfully yours. Yeah. But then the Hangman shows me that this is it's going to be a long time before that happens. And it's almost like then the World card is bringing that to a close, to an end, but the Page of Swords comes up. This is another mental thing in the sense of, just like Fernando said, I see people adopt a baby and another one comes in. It's almost like if you would just forgive her, let it go, whether you call her or not or anything, just release it. It's almost like it will come boomeranging back to you. And if you've ever done the Ho'oponopono ancient ritual about forgiveness, it's a powerful, powerful thing. I did a video on that, but did you do one as well?
I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, what is he?
Hawaiian.
Let me act like I know what he's saying because I want to make it.
Not. But if you go to my YouTube channel, or you can find it, but it just tells you how to, because it's kind of a forgiveness thing, and it's not about the other person. It's about you. And it's basically, you just say 4 statements. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And you say it over and over and over till you change the energy between you and that person, and you can cut the cords. Now, how you attach the cords back, even if you do, is up to you, but you want to attach them back in a different way than the way they were before, or else you're just back to the same place. But it's literally changing the energy between the two of you. And I feel that the word betrayal. I mean, it's like, I feel that. But also, I would say this is This is like one of those classic cases of I'm going to drink poison to punish that person.
Right.
You know, you drinking poison is not punishing them. It's just hurting you. And that's what holding on to the grudge and the unforgiveness is. So hopefully you've worked through that, and hopefully this will all come about. But if you're still holding on to her betrayal and what she stole from you, then there might be some work to do there still.
So I think that you are more angry at yourself than you're angry at her, because you let her in and you knew who she was. I mean, you know, even though these are family members, I know a lot of family members who they are takers. They take. If you give them an inch of your finger, they will rip your arm off. And they don't care if you're bleeding to death. They're like, why are you bleeding all over my carpet? That's the reaction. So these people, they don't really look at how we are going to be affected. And if they are, even if they care about us, they still are more involved or invested in their own process than they are involved in you, invested in you and the relationship. And so I think this is not the first time that this behavior has been quite apparent. And I don't think that this is a surprise. In all honesty, I think that this is just part of their MO. This is part of who they are. And so I think that some of the anger and resentment there is not about them and the physical action. I think it has more to do with you letting them in, trusting them, and then they taking advantage of you. And I think this is a powerful lesson for you, because this is a important opportunity for you to learn how to set boundaries with others. Just because you are related, just because you are blood relatives, doesn't mean that you have to let these people into your life if there's the potential that they will take advantage or hurt you because they've done it quite consistently or regularly with other people. And so, as I've said before, with my experience, there are people in my family I keep at a distance or I've cut out of my life because I cannot trust them, or they are simply takers. They are not to be trusted with the kind of invested interest that I really want to put into it. So for you, I think it's more about you forgiving yourself and giving yourself a chance to just realize you made a mistake and you let them in, and you kind of set yourself up for this to happen by letting them in so much. And it's not your fault. I mean, we love these people. We want them to be, we see the potential in others. We want them to reach that potential. But remember, what you see as potential is not who they are. Who they show you every day, that is who they are. So instead of seeing their potential, see them for who they are and accept that. And then if you, in the future, choose to act around them, bring them back into your life, see them for who they are and act accordingly. Don't try to act as if they are the potential that you see for them. All right, so let's see. So we've got another one here. This is an animal question. So Nadia says, hello, why does my dog Lego always bark at Lego? It's funny, we were just talking about Legos. Lego always barking and angry at my sister.
So it's funny because my cat Bartolomeo is right here on my desk in front of me now, so I'm keeping him from bumping the thing. So Nadia, first of all, it's so funny, and people are always like, what's my crazy dog? What's my crazy cat? I'm like, let me stop you real quick. So first of all, our animals are sentient beings. This is what I believe. This is what all my teachers and everybody that does this kind of work, they're sentient beings. So they know how to live in the moment. They are almost like little angels embodied in fur. So why is your dog Lego barking at your sister? I would ask who in your family, and maybe this is you, who is angry at your sister? Who does your sister upset? Because our animals will either mirror back to us what's going on, or they'll model what we need to do. And if Lego's barking, then it's probably mirroring of somebody. So who in the household doesn't like your sister or is angry at your sister? And this could be like, partner, spouse, somebody or kid who is just like frustrated that because they know the history of your sister. So when she comes over, she's mad because of the way she treated you. Or something like that. So I would look for that, because they're going to reflect, model, or mirror the energy back to us. But then more importantly, they're there to teach you something. So this is a moment where you go, all right, what are you teaching me? And I usually say, look at how you're feeling, right before, or what your thoughts are. And the best lesson I can give people in what I call a nutshell lesson is, if your animal in your house, like say you have a dog, and in your house, dogs are not allowed to be on couches. Like that's just your rule. No dogs on the couches. You walk into the living room and your dog is on a couch. You usually go, get off the couch, get off the couch. The image you're sending the dog is a picture of them on the couch, because that's what you're saying. So what you want to do is say, go to your bed, sit over here. So when your sister's coming over, in your mind, and think from heart to heart. So from your heart center, take the image from your head to your heart, and then just shoot it to your animal's heart, to Lego's heart, If you need to imagine, you can see a white cord or you can see green since it's a heart chakra. But just imagine Lego when your sister walks in, walking up, sniffing, smelling, licking, sitting in their lap, rather than, oh my God, my sister's coming over. Lock Lego away because Lego's going to attack. What you're doing is saying, all right, Lego, let me get you wound up because sister's coming over and I need you to be a bitch and just attack them. So you want to make sure that you're having a positive influence on the dog because they're most likely mirroring and modeling what's going on. And this is a case of probably mirroring of somebody's energy in the house.
Yeah.
And it might be your sister. I mean, your sister may be walking up to your door going, yeah, I'm about to go see my biatch sister. She's this, she's that, she's that. I just hate her guts. Yeah. Hey, sis, how are you doing? And then what the dog is doing is mirroring her image, her energy that just walked in. Not usually the case. It's usually the owners. I hate the word owner, but it's usually the humans in the life of the animal. So yeah, so I would check that first.
I think that I agree 100%. I think that your sister is essentially energetically kicking your dog, and I think your dog's reacting out of self-defense. So, and I'm not saying your sister is coming up and like physically kicking the dog. I feel like your sister's coming up and energetically kicking the dog. And animals are very, very sensitive to energy. They react really quickly to energy. I have a story where I had a customer way back when I was at Starbucks, and she used to come in every Sunday. She would get her espresso, and she always had her stroller with her little like doggy in it, and the dog was her child. I mean, this was her child, even though she was married, and I never even realized she was married because I always saw her and the dog always together, and she pushed it. I mean, this is like a full child stroller you go jogging at the park with. So, and this little itty bitty dog, toy dog, would sit there, but she loved this dog. And so she got a job in a different city, and she had to travel back and forth each week, and then she'd come home on the weekends. So her husband had to take over taking care of the dog. He never, ever gave the dog as much attention, and he honestly regretted and resented the dog because he felt that she loved the dog more than she loved him. And so while she would fly out every weekend, within a month, the dog developed a lump in its abdomen, and then she took him in, and turned out it was cancer. So the dog had to go through this like whole process of trying to, overcome cancer and whatnot. So she quit her job for the dog because she says, no, I'm not going to lose my dog for this job. And so she wasn't that happy anyway. So she says, I quit the job, and after she quit, I thought the dog had died, but she quit the job, and I hadn't seen her for a month, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on. And then she started coming back in again with the dog, and the dog was fine, survived cancer, because she decided that the relationship she had with the dog was more important than that. And, some people may not understand that. Some people may say, well, it's just a dog. That's all it is. It's just a dog. Like, you don't understand. Humans are trifling, and if you've lived a life as a human being, dealing with other people, it's very difficult because you love others, but at the same time, they're going to hurt you in some form or fashion. They're going to hurt you, and people always want something from you, no matter what, whether it's family, friends, your loved ones, whatever. But animals are so pure. Their love is pure. They don't have a hidden intention. They don't have a hidden agenda. If you make them pain, they cry out because they're in pain. If they're hungry, they let you know they're hungry. If they love you, they let you know that they love you and they appreciate you. And they really do bond with you in a very different way than with humans. So I actually have more love. And my partner would say, like, you love Mama Cat more than you love me. And I'm like, hell yeah, I do. She's the love of my life, because there's no hidden agenda there. We know each other. We understand each other. So it's not just an animal. It's a love bond beyond that I can have with a human being. So...
And that's a beautiful story of probably, I don't know the woman, but probably the woman getting the lesson. And that was to slow down. Yeah. To slow down, enjoy life.
Yeah, exactly. She did need to, because she was just always worked up every time I saw her after that. I'm like, you just need to quit your job and go back.
Because I tell you, animals, and I say this, and it's a hard one to take for a lot of people, they play to the death. They will play to the death because they're that committed on giving us a lesson. And it's interesting because someone will lose an animal, and they'll get a new one, and all of a sudden the new one will start showing some of the similar traits and habits. I'm like, that's because you didn't get the lesson, and there's another one coming in with the same dang lesson to teach you.
Let's see. All right, so let's see what time. We're at the 6:50 mark. You ready for one more question?
Sure.
All right, so I've got one here by Michaela.
Yay.
And the question is, do you know when me and my husband will be in a comfortable financial situation?
Yeah, I'm not going to use cards on that one because time frame comes from spirit for me. Well, I will say this. I feel like this coming March is a key month for you. Because what I do is I look out on a spectrum of time and I see like a hotspot for March, and then I stop there and just check in. Mm-hmm. So I see a hotspot there. I see like pot of gold. I see a lot of stuff, which is it's St. Patrick's Day is embedded there. So I'm thinking there's going to be something shifting there. I think it has to do with him more than you. So I don't know if maybe there's room for job improvement, upgrade, promotion, or something like that.
Tax returns are coming back at that time too.
What is that?
Tax money is coming back at that time. We're getting that
I keep seeing like Denver and Colorado area. So I don't know if that's somewhere where you're located or there could be a connection there. But I definitely feel like March is going to be a prime spot. And then it's almost like next October, almost like a year from now, it's like, we can really breathe now. So I feel like there's two spots that bring a lot of relief what's going on.
So when I tune into this, what I'm seeing is first of all, you need to get on a money management program, or you need to learn how to manage money better, because that might be part of the problem. You might be letting too much money might be slipping through your hands and you're not keeping enough with you. And then you're going to say, no, Fernando, you don't understand our situation. Like we are trying. I get it, girl. I totally get it. But you still need to look at where your money is going, because there may be too much money going out than it's coming in, and you need to cut cords, things that you do not need to be putting money into. Cut them out of your life. And it may be drastic, but it will help you. It will be a big change for you. That's one thing. I do think that you have an opportunity in the springtime. Again, agreeing with Mitchell, I think that you have an opportunity there to make some changes. But the changes, when you make them, they're not going to be like right away. It may take several months for that to actually pay off. When I tune in to actually like a shift over from like, when I tune into a shift from like, I feel like I can't breathe because of money versus it might be okay. I get that feeling around July or the 4th of July, because I'm seeing the 4th of July in my head. So the 4th of July, around that time frame is when you might start to really see something shift to a point where you're no longer thinking about it as like and then you're starting to see an improvement on that. I think going into fall time, there is an improvement, but even with that improvement, if you're not careful, you might find yourself getting back into a dip period in the latter part of next year, which is 2018, going into January 2019. So you'll find yourself dipping towards the end of the year, which is normal because people go holiday shopping and they go crazy when they go spending, but you need to be careful. You need to make sure that you're managing your money a little bit better. But I do see an improvement next year, but it's up to you if that's actually going to benefit you, or if it's just going to be an opportunity that passes you by, and then you don't really take full advantage of it. All right, so that is it. So Yay. For those who need to get a hold of you again, and you do readings, what kind of services do you offer? Like, give me the full scope there.
So I do, intuitive psychic mediumship readings. I do animal and communication, alive, passed on. I do hypnotherapy, which I can do sessions, phone, Skype, FaceTime, and things like that. In person is great. The FaceTime and Skype work very well as well, especially if you want to. A cool thing I did was connecting better to your divination tool. So if there's anybody out there working with runes or pendulum or cards or anything, and they want to connect better, or even just connect with your angels, your guides, your higher self, that's something I do with the hypnotherapy, which is a lot of fun. So, and I know Nadia, I saw Nadia's message come up. She said, thank you, it made sense. So I'm glad with the sister and the cat, or no, the sister and Lego.
Good. And if you want to get a hold of me, of course, you can just link to this page and go to my Facebook page, or you can go to my website, www.fernandomoron.com. It's pretty easy to get in there and get what you need to get out of it. You can also find me on YouTube as well. And so thank you, Mitch, for participating in my show.
Thank you.
Of course, you will be back, right?
Yeah, of course. You just give me a couple weeks notice.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure with you guys. And please, I hope you will tune in for next week's episode. I'm not sure who's going to be the guest, if they're even going to be a guest, or if I'm just going to do a mediumship session, reading with someone next week. So I love you guys. Thank you, Mitch, for joining in.
Thank you.
You guys all have a good night.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.